Welcome to Reckless Paradise, everyone. I'm your host, Marissa, and I'm here with my co-host, Dystro. Say hi.
Hello, everyone.
Happy Thursday, everyone. We're officially at the halfway point for September. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it just feels like it just went by like so quickly. It's like just stop, slow down.
Like, slow down. Like, we're already almost done 2022. Like, god damn. Man. But anyways, I hope everybody is having a good week so far. Especially for those who are, trying to get back into the swing of things with college or school and stuff like that. Hang in there. You will get back into the swing of things. It does take some time to adjust. I remember when, just going back to school from summer break, it was hard for me to adjust at first because, sleeping schedule and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Having to get to know your classes and stuff if you're in middle school or high school. Man, I don't miss them days. I do and I don't.
Yeah, it's whenever I went back from like summer break and stuff, I was like, no, I don't want to go back.
It's like grabbing onto the fucking door frame, like, no, no.
You can't make me.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining. I'm glad everybody's here tonight. Just a quick little tidbit here before we get into tonight's episode. This episode contains some trigger sensitive topics. So if you are triggered by certain topics, such as, should we mention it at the start? Like, is that how we do it?
I would say yeah,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
then it if people walk into it with like open
Listen.
ears and fresh
Yeah.
eyes and stuff, then they'll be like, okay, this is what we're getting into.
Okay, so if you are triggered by the following topics, such as abuse, spouse abuse, um,
Suicide.
suicide, murder, homicide, that kind of thing, please do not listen to this video or listen at your own discretion. You are
Mhm.
more than welcome to feel free to discontinue watching this episode at any time. You are not obligated to watch the whole episode. But if you do, thank you for being here. But even if you don't, thank you for, joining. We always appreciate the support here. So, yes, once again, if you are triggered by any of those topics or just trigger sensitive in general, please be advised to watch with your own discretion. Thank
You
you.
have been warned.
You have been warned. Thank you. All right, so tonight's episode is probably one of the most controversial episodes we will do on this channel, I guess I could
Mhm.
say. I don't know, there might be more controversial topics in the future. I don't know. This is probably the most controversial one to this point
Yeah.
as of September 15th on this channel. Um, we are getting into a very, very controversial professional wrestler who wrestled for 22 years from the span of 1985 all the way up to his untimely death in 2007.
Mhm.
Yes, we are talking about the forbidden name, Chris Benoit. Now, a lot of wrestling fans know almost the whole story about Chris Benoit, and some people don't, and that's okay. That's why we are here to fill you in if you guys don't know what has already happened. Um, Now, when this happened in '07, I was 5 years old, and I was just getting into wrestling at this point, but this was after the Benoit incident I got into wrestling. So, like, I don't recall any of the Benoit stuff when I was a kid. I had to learn all this myself as I got older. Like, I learned about it when I was like 13. I saw something on social media about it, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened to this guy. And I looked into it, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is dark. And over the
Yeah.
years, I have done a lot of research on this topic just by watching documentaries I've seen on YouTube, as well as the Dark Side of the Ring two-parter that they did not
Hmm.
too long ago. That was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like that was like a really good two-parter because like it told the whole story
from start to
like
finish.
with from start to finish with like fresh new eyes and brought in like people like his family members, wrestlers that knew him and all that stuff. So it's like it got like a lot of input from different parties, which is kind of good because it's like because there could be some parts of the story that we did not know, and then there's some parts that we already know what happened and all that stuff. But it's kind of good to have multiple avenues within a story to make it all complete.
Right,
I
like
would
they
say.
brought in Nancy's sister, which is Nancy Benoit, by the way. We'll get into that in a little bit. They also brought in Chavo Guerrero, which is Eddie Guerrero's nephew. They brought
Hmm.
in David Benoit, which is Chris Benoit's other son that he had from a previous marriage.
Hmm.
And there was just a lot of other people on that episode. It was a really, really good two-parter episode. And I'm actually glad they did that. Shout out to the Dark Side of the Ring production crew and stuff like that. I'm glad they did that episode. It was amazing.
Hmm. For
All right,
sure.
so let's get into this. So I guess we could start off, on the pro wrestling side of this, like his career. Let's start with his career, just so people know what this guy was about inside the ring. Now, some people say that he should be remembered for his inside of the ring work. I agree with that. I do agree with that. He was a phenomenal wrestler. I mean, phenomenal. He was like another Eddie Guerrero kind of thing, like small built, but not to be underestimated. Like he was absolutely amazing. He wrestled for 22 years, like I said, 1985 all the way to '07. I believe he trained in the Heart Dungeon, if I'm
Yes,
not mistaken.
he did. He trained in the Heart Dungeon, the infamous Heart Dungeon.
Oh yes.
Uh, and he grew up idolizing Dynamite Kid and Bret Hart too while he was younger. Because he had his start in Stampede Wrestling in '85 and
Yeah.
stuff. And it's kind of like it kind of comes like full circle sometimes because like he wrestled one of the Hard Dungeon family members in like a later part of his career too. So it's like that's it. Hey, that's cool.
Not to mention he is Canada born. He was born in Canada. He was born
Mhm.
in, wasn't it what, Edmonton?
Yes, Edmonton, yes.
Wow. Okay, that's like on the other side of the freaking country.
Uh, it-
um,
yeah, it says like I wrote it down. It said born and raised in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, but he grew up in
in
Edmonton.
Edmonton. Yeah, that's where he was. That's where he was mainly grown up there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, Now, like I said, I was not really into wrestling at the time, so like I never knew about Chris Benoit up until I turned 13. And that's when I learned about what happened and stuff like that, and I did research over the years. Um,
Mhm.
I learned that he wrestled with WCW, WWF, which is also known as WWE now. He also wrestled for ECW, and actually he spent some time with New Japan, apparently.
Mhm. Yeah, he spent like a good chunk some of his career in New Japan. He wrestled the likes of Jushin Thunder Liger. Um, he also wrestled a person called Black Tiger, but it's actually Eddie Guerrero under a mask,
Yep.
which is kind of cool. And El Samurai
Ugh.
in his time in what they called back then the Orient.
Oh, that's what they called it?
Yeah, they called it the Orient back then, but it's like they didn't want to say Japan. It's like they're trying to say Japan, but they called it the Orient. It's just weird. But it's like he was there from uh 86 to 97.
Okay. Hmm. I didn't know any of that, to be honest. Um,
Hey,
during
learn
this
something new every day.
time, yeah, during his time with WWE and WCW, he won the World Heavyweight Championship. So he is a two-time World Heavyweight Champion.
Mhm.
He also won the 2004 Royal Rumble at the number one position, meaning
Mhm.
he started at the number one spot and had to go through 29 other superstars to win. That is fucking incredible. He won by eliminating the Big Show.
Yeah, and did the slowest apron DDT to him ever. But the two-time world championship thing, like yeah, he won one in WCW and then one in WWE, but he was gonna be a three-time actually world champion in ECW.
Yeah, the weekend of his death, they had a match with I think CM Punk at ECW at the pay-per-view. He was
Hmm.
supposed to win that match.
And then due
That
to his
happened.
untimely death and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they had to change like so much on the fly after that too. So it's like
Who did they put Punk against that night? Wasn't it Nitro or Morrison?
um either Morrison or Dreamer.
I was thinking
I think it was
Morrison.
Morrison. I think it would be Morrison at that time. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look this up real quick just so we can fact check this. We got plenty of time on our hands tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So what pay-per-view was this?
Oh God. That would probably be maybe Vengeance 07? Because that would be Night of Champions, I believe, maybe.
Yeah, because he was set to go one-on-one with Punk.
Benoit. And yeah, Benoit and Punk, yeah. I think I can't remember, but while she's looking this up, he was Benoit was uh, WWE Triple Crown winner too. He was the 12th to do it, and he was a WCW Triple Crown winner. He was the 7th to do that too. Which that's kind of a good achievement to say the least.
So the ECW Championship match was supposed to be against CM Punk and Vengeance 07. However, Chris Benoit no-showed the event and was replaced by Johnny Nitro, also known as John Morrison, who actually won in his place.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. I remember when John Morrison was champion because I was watching ECW at that time. I remember I had like the biggest little childhood crush on him. I still do. Yeah, I remember that, but like I didn't really know anything about Chris Benoit, like I said, because I was too young to remember.
The Vengeance 07 thing that was just pulled out of my ass because it was like I was like I think it was like Vengeance or something, and then when you said like Morrison or Nitro, I was like, well, yeah, that's gotta be Nitro because it was like he was on the up and up at that time. So
yeah, and he changed his name to Morrison shortly after.
right.
So yeah, Benoit was supposed to be a 3-time champion, but shit happened. Now
Tragedy struck.
I put like a most memorable match. Like when I think of Chris Benoit, what match do I think of? Like what's the first match that comes to my head? I think of, well, this is technically two because it's the same match pretty much, just two different pay-per-views. So I put the WrestleMania 20 main event, which was the triple threat between Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit, which Benoit won his World Heavyweight Championship in that match. Then they had the rematch at Backlash 04, which was also the main event, which Benoit won. So, and as you guys know, Backlash 04 is literally my favorite pay-per-view of all time. So, yeah, that's like the first match I think of when I think of Benoit. I think of the two bouts he had with Triple H and Shawn Michaels and the triple threats.
The first match that comes to my head about Benoit, it's got to be the Ultimate Submission match from Backlash 01 between Angle and Benoit. That one comes to mind for me.
Okay. I'll have to watch that one. Maybe I haven't watched it yet.
It's so good. It's like it's a technical masterpiece in my opinion. But yeah, it's like Benoit had so many good matches with like a lot of people.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, him and Eddie had good chemistry together.
Mm-hmm. Him with Angle, like pretty much anybody on that roster at that time, he had like really good matches with.
Man, so that's pretty much a synopsis of his career. Now let's kind of get into the dark stuff. So let's backtrack a little bit back to the ECW thing where he was supposed to win his third title. That weekend, he was supposed to wrestle at Vengeance 07, which was the pay-per-view at the time, I believe for June. So it was the weekend of June 22nd to the 24th, because this is when this stuff happened. In the span of those days, he had killed his wife, Nancy Benoit. He also killed his 7-year-old son, Daniel, and then he killed himself on the final day, which was the 24th. As you guys probably should know, WWE grew kind of concerned. They're sending out welfare checks to the residents, and on the 24th of June, they found the deceased bodies of Nancy, Daniel, and Chris. Now, there are many, I mean many conspiracies about what happened, what was going on prior to this happening. So let's keep going here. So Vince had originally called off the show for Monday Night Raw and instead showed a 3-hour tribute to Chris Benoit. which turned out to be a big mistake on Vince's part because they did not know anything of what happened yet. They had no details of what had happened to these three victims, or two victims and Chris, I guess we could say. Um, they had no idea what happened yet. They had learned no details until the next day. The next day on ECW, Vince came on the screen and had announced that they will no longer be mentioning anything of Benoit from that point going forward because they had learned about what had happened. What had happened was, yes, it is and happened indeed that Chris Benoit did kill his wife Nancy and suffocated his son Daniel, and then killed himself on the final day. That is indeed what happened. And that's what Vince had learned about. However, there are many conspiracies as to what happened and what led to all this and what could have caused this obvious snap in Benoit's head. And I've learned
Yeah,
about all this over the course of many years.
yeah. It's just so. It's just made me lost for words because it's like there's just so much stuff that had to go on in Benoit's mind to just snap and just kill his wife and kid. Just like
Right.
just do that and then just kill himself. Um, Calling back to the Dark Side of the Ring documentary and stuff. That two-parter episode was like when I think it had to do something with Eddie's passing too.
Yeah,
Um,
role because I remember seeing in the CNN documentary that they did on this way, way back. They had Chris's father on the show, and he had brought up Chris's diary, and he was writing to Eddie up in heaven and stuff like that. So obviously, yes, he was suffering from mental trauma of losing his best friend, Eddie Greer. That was literally his best pal. That was his rock, so to speak.
mhm.
And that definitely played a role. But you gotta put this into perspective too. What about possibility of CTE caused from undiagnosed concussions, blows to the head? Back in the day, they did not have protected chair shots yet.
Mm,
Obviously, now
yeah,
they do because of this bullshit that happened. But back in the day, they did not have they did not have protected chair shots yet. They were unprotected. They were raw. You literally just had to brace for the impact. You had to tighten your face muscles and just take it like a man kind of thing. That's
yeah,
how you had to do it back in the day. And Chris has taken some pretty nasty bumps, in the ring. His finisher was the flying headbutt.
yeah.
Learned
It,
from the Dynamite Kid. So
mhm. And he did that so many times it's like caused his like neck and spinal probably to like mess or fuck up too because the Dynamite Kid like back in the day like he had said like he did it so many times like he had to stop doing it because it messed up his um neck and spine so much like he had to just stop doing it altogether because he had to do something different because like every time he hit it or do anything with it, it's like it messed up his brain so much and it messed up his neck and it messed up his spine because like to the point he almost couldn't even walk.
I believe last time I saw him in a documentary, he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, like he could not walk.
He was just done for. And I don't think he's even alive anymore, is he?
I don't think so. Not now, no.
Damn. Okay.
And it's just oh God, it's um there's like some things that I had written down. Um, it says I wrote like, and this is have to do with some like of the murders and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
It says over a 3-day period, he killed his wife and son before committing suicide. Nancy was bound. Nancy bound. Nancy bound the killing. He drugged his son with Xanax and was most likely unconscious.
Yeah, and he
And then
suffocated his son.
and then he killed himself with a lead pull down or lat pull down machine.
I've heard so many different ways of how Nancy was killed though. Like he broke her back. I heard something about that on Dark Side of the Ring, I believe, that he broke her back. Like, oh my god.
That much strength to do
Oh,
that too.
I am just
Um,
like lost for words. Now, yeah, like this kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier with the CTE and stuff like that. CTE can cause anxiety, depression, and stuff like that. He was
mhm,
most likely depressed, and it just that death of Eddie just fueled the depression even more. Um,
mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was hallucinating a little bit and had anxiety and stuff like that. But gotta take into the factor too, past steroid abuse might have also played a factor in
Mhm.
this because there's such thing called as roid rage, which is where you literally go into a rage.
Yeah. There was some reports from toxology or toxicology, if I could try to say the word right. It says like Nancy had three different drugs in her system before she died. It
Oh,
had
jeez.
Xanax, hydrocortisone, and hydromorphone.
Huh. Okay. Hmm.
Like all
Now,
three of them had Xanax.
the question is, did Benoit have steroids in his system at the time of this?
Well, yes, he kind of did. He had an elevated level of testosterone.
Okay. Hmm. Because that could also play a role in that too. Because like I said, roid rage is a thing from taking too many steroids and stuff like that.
Hmm.
People can literally lose their mind and just go into a fit of rage and get triggered easily and stuff with anger and stuff.
Like they could just snap at a moment's notice without
But
even doing
yeah,
anything.
but then there's also another side. Well, I've heard this on social media that maybe Kevin Sullivan played a role in this. Kevin Sullivan is Nancy Benoit's ex-husband.
Hmm.
She left Kevin Sullivan for Chris back in the day.
Hmm.
People have been saying Benoit might be innocent, and maybe it was not him that did all this. Maybe it was set up to look like a murder suicide, and Kevin Sullivan did it. Now, there obviously is not enough evidence to point the finger at Kevin Sullivan completely, so we could kind of drop that, in my opinion, just based off of everything I have learned over the course of a few years, stuff like that. I don't think Kevin Sullivan has any role in this.
Yeah, it's like I don't think like yeah, the Kevin Sullivan thing, like that it kind of like sounds like a strong motive for that, but it's like I don't know how he would kill Benoit, kill Nancy, and then just go ahead and kill his kid too. It's like that's just so stupid.
Yeah,
It
so
just
maybe
sounds so risky.
yeah, I don't think it's a good idea that people would point at Kevin Sullivan for this because to me it looks more like a murder suicide. Now, I'm just wondering this. Did they take DNA samples from Nancy's fingers or fingernails to show a sign of struggle? Because you can do that. And if you take a DNA sample under some female's nail that showed signs of struggle with another person, you can get DNA from the person that was trying to kill Nancy or whatever.
I well, when I was looking at it, I was trying to do my research and stuff like that. It's like I didn't see anything about a struggle at all. But it's like that could have happened, and Benoit could have like cleaned his hands or some shit. You never know, because he was just so paranoid at that time, probably too. And it's just and like there was a little snippet that I had taken too. It says prior to this, Benoit had illegally had been given medications not in compliance with the wellness program in WWE too. Like he had been taking steroids illegally. Pro-
Oh, that's interesting. That's fucking lovely. Oh
Uh,
boy.
it says including pardon my medical lingo. I can't pronounce some of these. Nanodrolone, an anabolic steroid, and anastrozole, which is a breast cancer drug used by bodybuilders for its powerful effects.
Man. And just think, all of this really triggered the whole steroid investigation with Vince. If this stuff wouldn't have happened, well, per se, if this stuff maybe wouldn't have happened, maybe Vince would have gotten away more with the fucking steroid stuff. Also, something's making noise on one of our ends.
No, it's probably me. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. But yeah, this thing definitely really caused a chain effect here of what just happened. Like, when this Benoit stuff happened, it caused a chain effect to the point where Vince McMahon got investigated again for steroid abuse and stuff like that. You know, giving steroids illegally to his pro wrestlers and allowing them to use explicit drugs like that. Yeah, that's whew, boy oh boy.
Yeah. It's just nowadays and stuff like that, it's like they do the wellness policy and all that stuff. I mean, it works, but then like it's like it's like the same thing like that happened with Eddie back then. Like
Yeah,
he didn't pass the wellness policy, so he got, I guess, like let go. He got let go, and then he just had like a good time on the indies until he came back.
yeah. And Vince gave him a second chance. Vince is not the one to give second chances either, but he
No,
gave Eddie a chance.
yeah, and shit, Eddie, cleaned up, turned his life around. I mean, and he got, he did better and stuff like that. But then it's just like, I wonder what had happened the night that Eddie had passed away, and what happened to Eddie, like what happened like in his system,
I
because like
think it's just his heart gave out. Like he kind of recovered too late. Like it was too late for him to, like he had already come clean and stuff. It was too late. He turned his life around too late. His heart was just ready to give out.
yeah, um, jeez, man, it's just like a roller coaster of emotions for Benoit and like all of his family and Eddie's family too, because it's like they just lost one of their family members.
One of like the most freaking purest souls on the planet.
Yeah, and I loved the that like Eddie, when he turned his life around, he was starting to do like prayer circles and stuff. Um, and like it's like you knew that Eddie was a good guy. Like
Yeah.
in the back, like he had to be a good guy.
Oh yeah.
And it would be awesome if he was still alive to this day, like just to pick his brain a little bit, just be like okay, how the hell did you get so high on that frog splash, man? But it's just like I had said sometimes to my mom, you never know what's gonna happen the next day until they're gone.
Yeah, you kind of just gotta live every day like it's your last, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I have a couple more things to discuss about this Benoit thing, and then we'll do like a final conclusion on this.
Okay.
So there also was spectators, like spectation. I can't even English today. There was also like speculation that spouse abuse was also going on prior to the murders. Back in '03, Nancy had filed for divorce, citing, quote, from her, cruel treatment and that the marriage was irrecoverable. I can't even say that word tonight.
Irreparable?
Like kind of like you can't reconcile with the person. It's the opposite
Hmm.
of reconcile. It was pretty much broken. Their marriage was broken. There was no saving it. She also claimed that he would break and throw furniture around. That is super fucking dangerous. That is a huge red flag. And I remember in the Dark Side of the Ring episode, Nancy's sister, uh, she was telling people at home and stuff that yeah, Chris was being a little abusive towards her. Nancy would always call um, her sister and stuff like that. Sometimes she'd go stay with her sister, and Chris would be begging her to go back to the house and stuff like that, and that they could work things out. Well, she did, and 4 years later, she ended up dead.
Yeah. It's also kind of funny that Chris had two wives too. I
But so
wonder.
did Nancy. Nancy had two husbands.
It's like I wonder what had happened with the first wife that led up to this point. Because like
Right.
I wonder if like I wonder. Oh God, I wonder if like the first wife could have like reached out to Nancy and be like, "Hey, this guy's gonna give you a lot of shit, so be ready for it," sort of thing. Because she could have prevented that from happening if she had like reached out to her kind of like sooner rather than later, sort of thing. But it's like I don't know if they had their numbers or anything at
And
that
plus, we
time.
don't exactly know what happened either in his first marriage, so we can't really say
Yeah.
anything. But yeah,
Um,
that's a huge, huge, huge red flag right there. If a guy is abusing you even once, you need to leave. Like it's only going to get worse. Even if the guy says, or even the girl, if the girl's being abusive, even if the special other says that it's going to get better, I'm going to change, blah blah blah. No, 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 no. You leave, honey. You leave as fast as you can.
um, one last little final thing that I wanted to point out with the CTE thing, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, Wikipedia is a good thing, you know. So there was a little thing, little Chris Nowinski, the Harvard, I guess grad or something that his gimmick back in the day. Um, he became like he learned like the neuro brain.
Pretty much brain scientist.
Yeah, brain scientist. Thank you. Uh, he had asked for tests to be conducted on Chris Benoit's brain, and they had results that showed that Benoit's brain was so severely damaged that it resonated or resembled the brain of of an 85-year-old Alzheimer patient. That's how bad his brain was.
Yeah, I actually remember the press conference they did for that. I saw it on the CNN documentary. Um, yeah, they actually showed pictures of a normal human brain and then Chris Benoit's brain. Wow, it looked bad. It looked horrible. And that's
Yeah,
just from undiagnosed concussions, repeated chair shots to the head, bumps to the head. It just looked terrible. Like, oh my god, like that's
it,
definitely that's definitely something that could have caused this whole massacre, the whole CTE thing that we talked about. But
mhm.
that doesn't necessarily drop the steroid abuse either, because steroid abuse also could have played a role, as that can cause rage. But Alzheimer's can also cause kind of mood swings and stuff like that.
Mhm. It was it was just so bad that he cost his own life and cost two others in the process. That's how
Like,
bad it
if you
was.
want to take your own, like, I shouldn't say this, but like someone said this on the, if you want to take your own life, go ahead, but don't take two innocent people with you.
Hmm.
You know, like, but he could have got help. In my opinion, he could have reached out and got help, but he chose not to.
He
Um,
chose the kind of like an easy way out sort of thing.
yeah, the sad way out, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And now his son David, his other son David, he has to live his life like this. And I actually watched an interview with him and Chris Van Villay or something like that. I can never pronounce his
Chris
name.
Van Vliet.
Yeah, him and David did an interview. It was a really good interview. David wants to get in the ring, be like his father in that sort of aspect. Um, it just sucks because you could tell David is mentally fucked up by this, just by like the way he talks. Like if you watch his eye movements, just like his physical appearance,
Presence.
yeah, his
Yeah.
presence, you can kind of tell that this is really mentally fucked with him. Because like he takes a lot of shade because of this shit. Because like obviously he believes his father's innocent, obviously, and that's okay. That's his son. He's going to believe what he wants to believe, and that's okay. But he doesn't deserve the shade that he gets. He deserves to be able to just move on with his life and continue on and stuff like that. Continue living, make a living for himself, make a career for himself, in wrestling, even if he wants to wrestle, like he said he wanted to do in the interview. Go for it. If you want to carry on your father's legacy like that, go ahead. Like I said, I remember Chris for his time in the ring. I don't actually respect what happened outside the ring, but he had a really good in-ring career. And that's important to bring up because it is okay to like a person for what they do in professional wrestling. It's also okay to not like a person for what they don't do in the ring. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you can differentiate wrestling from personal life.
Yeah. And it sucks that, his son is kind of like blacklisted too. And that sucks. Yeah, because it's like he won't be able to do anything wrestling related at all because of his father's name. And it's like okay, can we just not can we just move on from that? Like it happened so many years ago, but it's like people still talk about it to this day, sort of thing. And it's like, okay, I get it. My dad is just this monster of a person back then, but it's like that was then, this is now. Can I just be myself and just be my own fucking person?
Yeah, because
And
David did nothing wrong.
yeah, he was just a kid. And it's like just let me live my life and let me fucking wrestle. Like my damn dad.
He was
Like
at his actual mother's house when this happened. He wasn't at Chris's house.
right. And if he was there, nobody would have like he would have not lived to tell the tale if he was there.
I am like I
Because it's just like oh god, it just boggles me that so many years later, it's like people are still talking about this, but it's like us on this channel, it's like we do not fear to get risky every once in a while.
Yeah, we're
We
just
do,
basically telling a story from start to finish.
yeah, and it's like you can hate us in the comments for this, but it's like this is our channel and we do whatever the hell we want on this channel.
I don't think people are necessarily going to hate. They're basically going to tell what they feel happened because there are different stories that I've heard about this whole
Right.
dilemma, and that's okay. It's good to hear other people's perspectives and stuff. That's perfectly fine. But
Yeah,
don't be a bitch about it.
yeah, it's like quote Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret here. Like what you like, but don't be a dick.
Pretty much. So I think we're gonna end this episode right here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I apologize. This is a very, very controversial topic, but I figured it would be a really good episode to do because we have been planning this for quite a while, since the beginning of the summer. So, what do you guys think happened? Do you guys, kind of think, you're going down with the CTE route or the steroid abuse route, or do you think Benoit is innocent? Like some people in this world think. Let us know in the comments below. I like to have a little discussion about this. I always like to hear from you guys. So song, it is your pick. What is our song of the
Okay,
night?
so this one actually kind of hits home for me, because I listened to it earlier today several times. It is 21 Guns by Green Day.
Oh, okay. I see you. So why does it hit home for you, my dude?
It reminded me of my friends who had passed away several years ago. One of which was a very, very good guitarist named Zane.
Yep.
And many moons ago was a friend of mine since kindergarten, pretty much, named Haley, and the guitar solo that's in the song, it reminded me of both of them at the same time, and it almost like maybe brought to tears on my way to work and from work. So it's like it hits home for me pretty much. But
Song.
yeah,
I just recently got my dad into Green Day, but I haven't showed him that. Green Day is fucking awesome. So yes, that's a perfect song of the night. 21 Guns by Green Day. I will put it at the end of this episode. It'll be the top right hand corner. Just click on that little link when it pops up. There's your song of the night. Go ahead and listen to it. Blast it loud for Dystro.
for me.
Yeah. All right. So this Sunday, what are we doing? What shall we do this Sunday? I don't know. Let's do our top 5 Slipknot songs because their new album, The End So Far, drops at the end of this month, September 30th. I figured let's do that. Let's celebrate the release of this album coming out at the end of the month with our top 5 favorite Slipknot songs of all time. Now, Dystro, have you really listened to Slipknot yet?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody has at this point.
Do you have like a top 5 list you could probably come up with?
Yes,
I
do.
definitely do. So there you have it.
Well,
So
we're on
that'll
the
be
same
our
page.
episode for this Sunday. And yes, we're on the same fucking page. So yeah, if you guys are interested in hearing what we have to say about some Slipknot songs, be sure to tune in this Sunday. It's gonna be a good episode, just like usual. And if you guys stuck around to the very end of this episode, we greatly appreciate your support. Be sure to follow us on our social media by clicking on the link in the description below, which will take you to our link tree. Has everything you need. TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, Dystro's Gaming YouTube channel, which by the way, you probably should check out ASAP. Fucking amazing channel. Funny
Thank
stuff.
Thank
So
you.
be sure to go follow us on our social media also to stay up to date with this podcast in case, something goes wrong, we can't upload one day. Sometimes well actually we haven't had that happen yet. Don't jinx it anyways. But yeah, you know the drill. So go follow us on social media. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll catch you guys this Sunday. Peace.
Peace.